guys, Tim Beal from Topper Manufacturing. We are on site and we're going to service a WOW system underneath the kitchen counter. It's been in service for a year. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to get a sample of the product water from the machine. We've got a great flow coming from the system. We're going to check our TDS. Our TDS is 21 parts per million. We've already done the feed, and the feed is 341. I'm going to mark that down, 21. We've got an excellent rejection rate, but we're going to change the pre and the post filter. So, I have now activated the machine. We can hear that the control valve is active. That means that we are under atmospheric conditions right now, replenishing the inventory under atmospheric conditions. Witnessed also here by this gauge that was installed on the PW port, we are processing water under zero back pressure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the emergency shutoff off. I'm going to come back up here to the top. I'm going to break the pressure. Okay. So now the system has been completely depressurized. I have the ability of pushing in the collet, removing the waistline, or I'm sorry, the feed line. I have two buckets. I always show up on site with two buckets just in case one doesn't fit. So I put those available lines that I'm removing the system with, and I put them in the bucket like the waistline. There it is. I'm also going to remove the product water, which is designated by the blue tubing. Push the collet in, have all that dripping into the bucket. I'm going to pull the system up. It's heavy, it's full of water. I'm going to bring it up on top of the kitchen counter. Next, I've built a line here that I'm going to plug into the feed water line. And I'm going to plug in with a bulkhead connection. I'm going to close this valve, turn this guy on, and I'm going to show you what this is all about. I just did this with my own parts. So I've got a pressurized line up on top here. So now, everything has been depressurized. With an upward motion, I'm going to rotate the filters off. They're full of water. Membrane in post. Okay. I'm going to rotate the tank and lift the manifold off. The manifold is now off. I'm going to, with my fingernail, I'm going to pull the two O-rings that should be on the center post or on the inside of the manifold and apply them to the center post of the tank. Those are product water O-rings. This is called a squeeze O-ring. We'll get to that in a minute, but that should be replaced. Just before we reattach, you want to put the O-ring onto the manifold, do a physical inspection of the O-ring, make sure that there's no chunks taken out of it. We're going to put that right over here. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to replace and or service the CPU control valve. There's 4 screws here. We're just going to remove these 4 stainless steel screws. And with a Phillips head. Now watch this. This valve just pops right off. There's the 4 screws. Now, on our website, it's a special tool. Push in on the doorway of the valve. And what you do is you remove the C-ring, applying the valve, remove the C-ring, you squeeze it and then pull it out. Now comes this little guy right here. Now I've got line pressure here, and I'm going to apply, because we have the O-rings, by the way, the O-rings were stuck into the manifold, very gently, without scoring with the tip of this any of the plastic. You're going to gently remove the O-rings. So there's the 4 O-rings for the 4 little connections here on the control valve. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace those place those O-rings back over the little shafts here. These are the connections. And I still feel the Dow 111 silicone. Okay, so I'm going to apply some pressure and just covering up the second one here. It's kind of like I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure there, and it moves the piston and the cap right out. So now I get to take a peek inside, and I've got a nice little light right here. And I get to take a peek inside to make sure that I've got plenty of grease inside of there, which is Dow 111. All my O-rings are intact. Okay, they seem to be fine. We greased the piston up pretty good here. And I'm going to pull some of that excess grease off, reapply it to the surfaces of the piston, and I'm going to just push the piston back in. Here's the cap. Make sure that the surfaces are clean. Push that back in there like so. It goes in nice and easy. Without squeezing down too tight, but just firm enough to where I can keep the snap ring here from flying. Bring it right back up. Bring the camera over. Okay. Okay. And I take it right into the very first groove. And there we go. It goes right into place. Put that down towards the, position it in the downward position of the exit points. This valve has been serviced, okay? All 4 O-rings are there. Replace the valve, put it in its position. There's a big scallop right here, so the large diameter goes in that direction. Just, you feel it center, push it down, bring my screwdriver and the screws. I have not screwed these on. Now these are stainless steel self-cutting screws that bite into plastic and cut their own threads. The threads have already been cut at the factory. So I'm going to show you guys, you gorillas out there, don't torque down on these. So what you do is I go backwards, and then you feel the beginning of the thread backward, and then you feel it drop in, and then go forward. And then just thumb and forefinger, give it a little twist. And you don't have to torque it. It just bottoms out. Okay? And that's how, you don't want to cross thread these and recut new threads. You don't want to do that. You'll probably strip them out. Okay? There we go. Nice. We're chasing the same thread. Okay, that's it. That valve has been serviced. Okay, now reapplying this in the proper direction, there is on the top of the tank, or on the top of the tank, there's a little wall right here. Put that at 12 o'clock, which lines up the cutouts on the tank at 10 and 2. Okay. We already have the O-rings in here. You might want to use a little bit of extra grease. I got some grease here with me. Apply some grease to the O-rings. And then you're reapplying the squeeze O-ring to the manifold. Okay, now the manifold is at 3 and 9 o'clock. Okay, and you feel it line up with the ears, push straight down, holding onto the manifold, in my case with my left hand, rotating the tank. New cartridges, you want to line up the dots, membrane, green dot, pulse filter with the blue dot, line the dots up onto the manifold. Okay, and that system has now been completely serviced, ready for reinstallation. Turn off the first valve here, break the pressure, push in the collet. Reapply it to the feed side, which is to the gray regulator. In this case here, we have our FA2, which is the 1/4 inch line going up to our dedicated faucet. We have our drain side drain here going in. This is a non-air gap faucet or installation. Everything seems to be intact. I'm turning on the system. I'm going to bleed the air out of that FA line that probably crossed over. I'm going to wait until I get a solid flow. And witness this, Gary. Look at this. Here's my squeeze pressure. I'm squeezing at 25 pounds. I turn off the faucet. There I go, down to 0. The valve has been serviced. The outboard filters have been changed, outboard being the post, and the pre have been changed. The membrane was okay. There you go. Simple service of the entire system. The valve and the pre and post filter have been changed. And if the membrane had showed up to be bad, we would have changed the membrane at the same time. Now, what we do is we pre-fill these cartridges, usually on a dry start, but this system had water in it already. So therefore, that process that we've done in other videos, or what is called out in the manual, isn't totally necessary because we already had water in the system to populate the post filter. But if you follow the directions between page 10 and 13 in the manual, everything should be just fine. And here you go, that's the service. We'll see you at the next video, guys. Thanks.